All right, good evening. I am Miss Gauthier. I am the principal here at the high school. This is kind of close to a normal year for us, so I'm looking forward to like my fourth year being a really normal school year. Mr. Ross is going to talk about dual enrollment. We have a sign-in sheet, so when you leave, if you could sign in if you haven't. And also there's some great information up there, and Mr. Ross at the end will be available to answer questions on this side. So I'm gonna let you guys get started. We're gonna try to do a good job of not keeping you real late tonight.
So one of the handouts that you should have picked up is actually a list of the slides that are going to be presented tonight. There are not a lot of them, but I do want to go through those so that you're informed of what dual enrollment's about, what it entails, things to consider. Also, we posted this presentation on the Onward Shepherd website. So when you leave here tonight, you can go there and you can access that slideshow just by clicking it, or even going to your smartphone and bringing it up. So this is a dual enrollment meeting for the year 2022. If you have sons or daughters that have gone through the program before, there's not a lot of change, but there are some small ones. For those of you who are freshmen this year and you're looking to get started in a dual enrollment, this may seem overwhelming at first, but I assure you as you get going through the process, it becomes very normal. And if you do have any questions, feel free to ask, and we will have a time at the end to do so. We actually tested the switcher and it was working earlier, but apparently it does not now. Career pathways. When you go to dual enroll, what we really want the student to consider is, at this point in time, what are they looking at doing down the road as a career? Because that may dictate what role you're going to take in the dual enrollment process and what classes you're going to take. Now, we understand if students are 14, 15, 16-year-olds, and they're likely to change their mind. We get that. But we do want them to go down a process where they're considering their future. If they're looking to go into college down the road for a career, then dual enrollment is a great opportunity for them to get started, to get experience at that level. And then they can choose whether they're going to go into the Michigan transfer agreement or early college. And we will explain what those two things are later. Some students are going into the skilled trades route. And right now is a great time to go into skilled trades. For a shorter amount of training time, perhaps less investment money-wise. There are a lot of careers out there, and the job market is expanding, and it's very good pay. I am finding as a counselor a lot more students are looking to go that route right now, and I think it's fantastic. Also, for some of our students, typically at Shepherd every year, if we graduate about 100, we'll get about 4 or 5 that go the military route. And we've had some students even choose to make that a lifelong career. We have one young man who's looking to become a pilot in the Air Force, and that's pretty impressive. Also, we have some students go right to the workforce. And we have students that just either they have family or they have opportunities or they have connections where they can go right out of high school and get a job and start working and make a great income and have a fulfilling job. If the student is looking to go that route and they just know that that's where they're headed, we encourage them to do something called work study while they're in high school, where they can take and work at least 15 hours during the week, and they can claim up to 2 class periods where they earn credit for doing that. Ms. Gauthier, would you transition slide back? I need a space bar. Okay, so the different options here at Shepherd. Some students just want to take what's called a dual enrollment option. And dual enrollment means they're taking a college course while in high school. It is a college course and it counts both towards college credit and high school credit. Now, for those of you who have been in college, you know that if you take a course, typically it's 3 credits at the college. Well, a college class that's 3 credits, here in the high school it would count towards a high school credit of 1/2 credit. That's just the equivalency. If they take a class that's 4 or more credits, it would count as a full credit here at the high school. We have students do that where they might take a psychology class, maybe a speech class, and just see if college is something that they want to pursue down the road. It's a great experience for them to do it while they're in high school. Before they get off after high school, take a full load, and then find out, wow, this is pretty intense. So a lot of times it's been very valuable for our students to take it and either gain confidence, or they take it and they struggle and they realize, wow, I really need to take my academics seriously if I want to go off after high school and continue my education. Another opportunity which is phenomenal here at our school, we take great pride in this, is the Michigan Transfer Agreement. This is an agreement where a student will take at least 30 credits while in high school during the 4 years here, and it will transfer to any public college or university in the entire state of Michigan. And it will count towards their first year of college. For example, if you went to Central Michigan University, that would qualify as your university program courses. And it's kind of like a liberal arts transfer. And our students can do that program during the 4 years here and only have to leave the campus for one class their senior year. Every other class is taught here in the old Laidley building. For those of you who are past graduates here, the building out on the corner where the buses pull in. So that's a fantastic option. With that, though, there are some stipulations. There are certain courses you have to take, and we have that mapped out, and it's available at the Onward Shepherd website. The other option for those who wish to, and typically here at Shepherd, it takes up about 10% of our population. So this coming year, we'll have 10 students who are going to stay for their 5th year of high school. And the students are thinking, I'm not into that. I get it. But what happens is after your 4th year, as long as you're doing well in school, you graduate with your class. In other words, you go across the stage, you participate in the ceremony, and all that. The only exception is you do not get the diploma yet. You have to complete the 5th year, and then you get your diploma, the paper that goes along with it. But that 5th year, you can stay, and you would basically be a full-time student at Mid. You go there full-time. You don't even have to come to our campus. And it's all paid for by the school, and you can earn a potential 60 or more college credits equal to an associate's degree. And if you wanted to go the skilled trades route, you can still do early college, go up and go into whatever they're offering, whether it's heating and cooling, whether it's welding, and get the certification there, and it would be paid for by the school. And after the 5th year, you would be fully certified to go out and begin your career. So it's a fantastic opportunity. I guess I can't promote it any more than to say my own son is doing. Matter of fact, we school choiced him from Elma to Shepherd, mostly because of this program. It's fantastic. And he's been happy he's been here, and he's going to take part of that. So I would encourage you at least to consider that as an option. This is a Venn diagram. As an old math teacher, I couldn't help but throw one of them in there. Okay? What you can see is there's 3 different routes with the dual enrollment. You have the skilled trades route, where you don't necessarily have to take the English and the math courses, but you would take specific classes towards that certification. For example, we did have a student who completed a welding certification 2 years ago. And there are other ones too that are online and you can look over. We have the early college route, and we have the Michigan transfer route. And you can see there's combinations of 2 or even all 3 of them. A student could potentially do the Michigan transfer degree, get that done in the first 4 years, decide to be an early college person, stay for the 5th year, and go into the skilled trades and do all 3. That is possible. It's also possible somebody decides they don't want to, they don't have to do any of that. So what we're trying to do as a school is just to provide opportunities that would fit the student. And that's where, parents are very important, just to have those discussions with them, what they think their future might be. And even if they change their mind, we'll work with them and try to guide them and get them through. Okay, things to consider. And this is very important, and sometimes the students kind of casually look over this list and don't really put the thought into it. But you need to consider these things when choosing to do enroll. Number one, probably one of the most important things, is the student academically ready, and are they at a maturity level that's ready to do a college level course? It doesn't mean that they couldn't be down the road, but when you're a 9th grader to be 10th grader, some students are ready, some aren't quite there yet. Okay? And if they get into a class and they start struggling, or their maturity level isn't high enough, or they choose to skip class, they might struggle. And to get the transfer agreement, they got to get a C or better in the classes. To earn credit, they got to get at least a D minus or better. If for some reason they don't achieve that and they fail the course, it is the family's responsibility to pay back the full amount for that class, which typically is somewhere about $600, depending on the class. It's college level academics. If a student is struggling in their basic freshman level classes and they're getting C's and D's in the core, it's going to be very difficult for them to go take a psychology 101 class or social 101 at the college level and be successful. Now, we've had students do it though. So it's really something to sit down with your son or daughter and just have that discussion. Sometimes it's a great way to get them motivated, and once they get into college, they take it really serious and it changes them. I'm going to go off on a tangent. One of the things we found when we implemented this years ago, we were the first school to go to this in this area. Since then, Ithaca jumped on and they copied us, because that's what Ithaca does. They follow our lead. Elma's now going through the same process of following our lead. So we started this. And one of the things we found is our students are more likely to take risks, and they're more confident and more serious about their academics, which is great. The cost of the school will pay what's called 1 FTE. In other words, the state pays a certain amount of money per student per class. Whatever that amount is, we pay that full amount for a college class. If the college class happens to come to a little bit more than that, and that difference is up to the family to pay. This year, I want to say it was about $24 for a class. That's a pretty good deal. If there are books involved, that may also be the cost of the parent depending. A lot of classes now, though, do a lot of their books or materials online, so you have to look at it. We also have a lot of texts that are available in our media center for the classes that are taught here. So a student should also go to the media center, see if the book's available there first. The other thing is if they take a 4-credit class, like for example, Spanish 102 is a 4-credit class, so that costs more money. If the family wants to cover that cost, the student could take out an elective out of their schedule and put in what's called a dual enrollment lab period. In other words, it's time for them to study for that class. And that way they get 2 FTEs, and that should cover the full amount of class. And I can help answer questions on that later if they have some. Again, if a student happens to fail a course, they are responsible to pay for the full amount. They would not be allowed to take another dual enrollment class until that was paid for. And also it could affect their athletic eligibility if they're failing a college class. Our percentage of success here, by the way, is 98%. Out of every 100 classes taken, 98 of our students pass it. And you want to know what causes the failure? It's typically not due to their academic ability. It's either, I didn't take it serious, I didn't go to class, I didn't do this, and they know they could have done better. That's typically the cause of a failure in a class. It can affect the transcript. Students got certain GPA they're shooting for, and they struggle in a college class. That is most likely going to affect their GPA unless they don't count the college class towards high school credit. So you get a choice. You can count that college class as college only, and then it doesn't appear on the transcript. Or you can count it as both and get credit for both college and high school. The advantages and disadvantages. If you count it towards college only, it may not affect the GPA. For example, maybe they're taking a physics 200 level college class. Well, that might be pretty tough. Maybe they're going to get a B in it, but they're a 4.0 student. Well, if you choose to not count it, that's fine. Most students will count it towards both because you still need to get a certain number of credits to graduate high school. So you want to count them. And if you ever have questions on whether to count it for college and high school or just college, have a conversation with me and I can help you with that. Again, some books are available in the Media Center. We as a school do not know at any point in time how that student is doing in the dual enrollment class. They are actually a student at that college. So if you want to know as a parent, well, how's Johnny doing? What needs to happen is you ask Johnny. He should be able to pull up on his portal and show you his current grade. That's the way to do it. So you can hold your son or daughter accountable by having them pull it up and show you the grade. I won't know unless I get an academic alert from the college. If I get that, it will also go to the student and I'll have conversation with that student. If you know that there's a specific college you want to go to after high school, you may want to have conversation with an advisor from that school just to make sure the classes you choose to take through dual enrollment are ones that are going to transfer smoothly to that college. For example, if you're going to go to Ferris State University, maybe a philosophy 101 is equal to a different philosophy, like maybe philosophy 111 there. So you got to make sure you kind of pick those pieces. And if you call a college and say you'd like to set up a meeting, they love it. And they'll talk with you and they'll go right through it. Okay? Yeah, please. All right. If someone is interested in the early college program, that's the 5th year. The 5th year program is not the same as dual enrollment. We've had some confusion over the years where students believe if they're dual enrolling that they're automatically a part of the 5th year program. That's not the case. Dual enrollment is a bigger piece of the Venn diagram. Early college is a portion within that dual enrollment sphere. And in order to get into the early college, you have to apply and get accepted into it. The application takes place prior to the fall of their junior year. After that, we cannot put a student into early college because of the state guidelines. Now, a student could apply at the end of their sophomore year and get accepted, but they can't do it any later than the fall of their junior year. Things we do look at their grades, their performance in previous college classes, and their attendance, and their college entrance tests, like the PSAT 8, 9, and SAT. Another one that has impacted some people's decision, it's really a personal matter. If you want to be considered for top 10 honors, you can't be in the early college. If you're in early college, you're no longer part of that because you actually officially become part of the next year's graduating class. I don't make that decision. Please don't be angry at me for that. It's something that's a board policy, but just so you're aware. For many students, that's not a factor. Something else to consider, even though you go through the 5th year and you get 2 years of college done, and then you say you go to CMU or Ferris, you are eligible for their merit-based scholarships as an incoming freshman. So it does not disqualify you for scholarships. Okay? You do not apply for scholarships during your senior year. You actually apply for scholarships during your 5th year because it's the following year that you would go off to a school where you would be responsible for providing the cost. Students are not eligible for competitive sports and other activities during that 5th year. You could potentially be in the band, but I don't think you could go to the Michigan competitions in band. So there's limits as to what you can do, but you can take high school classes during that 5th year. Maybe you love weight training and you still want to do weight training. You could do that if you wanted to. The applications for the early college are available on the Onward Shepherd website. And when you go to this program, and anytime you click on those links, it will actually take you to those documents. So all you have to do is click in the PowerPoint, and it'll take you right there. Next slide, please. The skilled trades opportunities, I want to encourage more and more for students to consider those. They're valuable, and like I said, they are having trouble filling positions. People across the state call MID and say, hey, we have openings right here. Do you have some people coming out? And MID can't even give them enough of the students graduating to fill the opportunities that are available. Now, that's pretty cool. So I strongly think if you're a person that likes those types of hands-on activities, those types of challenges and problem solving, look into it. And if you go to the midmich.edu pathways, there's an entire list of the skilled trades that are available. One of them now is a new program that's Conservation Officer Prep. So now we have 2 students in this year's junior class that are going to go to early college that are going to potentially pursue going into Conservation Officer. Yeah, that's pretty cool. They'll take courses from hunting and angling to the laws of the state and so forth. Okay, next slide. And my contact information is there. That's the big presentation. Before I open up to questions, here's how you choose to get enrolled in the dual enrollment classes. If you're a 9th grader, raise your hand. Okay, have you already met with Mr. Huber? Did he go to your classes and help you go through Zello? Some are saying yes, some are saying no. Okay. If not, he will soon. We will have a counselor go to the classroom and help walk them through the Zello, which is an online platform where they choose their classes, and they can sign up for those college classes next year. If you're a freshman to be sophomore, the classes that most of them sign up for in regards to dual enrollment are psychology, sociology, and if you like Spanish, you could do Spanish, but I would recommend you only do that if you had Spanish 2 here at the high school. Those are the most common ones. Could you take other classes? Yes, but you don't necessarily have to because you can still get them in your junior year, and then your senior year you get a lot of opportunity to take college classes. Okay? So that's how you sign up for it. And once you put it in Zello, you need to go to the Onward Shepherd website, and actually, can we, oh, perfect. So you go to the Onward Shepherd website, can we go to the home page of that? So when you go to the home page, down at the bottom there is a tab that says Dual Enrollment. If you click the Dual Enrollment tab, it takes you to this page, and here's the information meeting that I just put on there. And there is the signature form you need to fill out. It is a screencast of me telling you almost the exact same thing I just told you. So if you wanted to fast forward through that, you probably could.
If you're a 9th grader or first time, you have to do the application.
Yeah. And if you're first time in college, make sure that you fill out the first time application. Please do not enter in as general admissions. You need to sign up in the application as dual enrollment or what they call concurrent student, concurrent. Okay? And there's the difference right there. There's general admissions, don't do that. Do this one right here, the second one. Takes about 4 minutes, and there's no cost for that. And then this is the setup instructions on how to get your portal set up and get everything going so that you can start in that class as soon as the class begins.
So
This is the contract. We would like the student to use their Shepherd Blue Jays email account to log into that. So if they use their Chromebook, they should be able to automatically do that. Okay, with that said, we do have a few minutes before the next meeting starts, so I'd like to open it up for some questions that you would have. Yes?
All right, so if they're planning on doing these early college routes, then do they do the dual enrollment process, sign up now, or do they just come to the counselor and have you guys help them start up with the early college process?
Okay, if a student is looking to go into the early college process, and say they're a freshman right now to be sophomore. Okay, if they're a sophomore to be junior, it would be wise for that student to come see me or Mr. Huber, and we'll sit down with them and make sure we get their classes in there. And then they got to remember, they have to fill out that application before October 1st of next year. So the application is available online. But I would recommend they come see one of us counselors individually. If they're a ninth grader to be sophomore, and yeah, they're thinking early college is the way to go, you don't have to sign up for early college yet, but you do want to start the dual enrollment process by going through Zello and so forth. Great question, thank you. Yes, ma'am?
How can you tell, which classes qualify for dual enrollment, which should be an transfer or college, or choice?
Yeah, so how do you know which classes are for dual enrollment, which ones are for skilled trades and so forth? If you go to our Onward Shepherd website and go to the main, if you go down to the dual enrollment tab and you click the Michigan Transfer Agreement, it'll take you to this page. It's probably hard to see where you're at, but it lists the exact classes that you would take. They're highlighted there. So that's how you know to get the transfer agreement. Now, as far as just classes we offer, if you go to the home page and just go to resources, we actually have a list of all the electives and all the required classes that our school offers. And the dual enrollment ones are always have a capital D and a capital E in front of them. And if you get, it may get overwhelming because there's so much information there. Give us a call or email us and we'd be happy to just share you a document or something if that's easier too. Good question, thank you.
Academic resources.
Yeah, academic resources.
This has your graduation requirements, and then,
Yeah, it might be under the graduation requirements.
but then.
Course offering guide.
Yes, course offering guide.
And that'll have a list of the electives and everything. If you want to go ahead and select that, there it is. And if you scroll down just a few pages, you will see a list. Keep going. Keep going. There it is. And those are a list of all the required classes. And you will see that some of them are included. They'll have the DE in front of it. That stands for Dual Enrollment English. So a student could actually not take the English 12A and B here at our school and do college dual enrollment, English 111 and 112, and that would satisfy that senior English requirement and get college credit. Also, if you're good in math and you want to continue on, you could take pre-calc, stats, calc 1, calc 2, and that's pretty impressive. On the next page, there's a list of electives, and under the electives, we have the common dual enrolled classes right here. These are the ones that typically our students look at here at Shepherd. Other questions?
On this page, some of them have a grade range of 11 to 12 or 9 to 12.
Yeah.
But when you scroll further down, when you read descriptions of some of these classes, the grade range that says before doesn't match this page.
Okay. What you're going to find when you go through the curriculum guide and you look at the specific list of the grades in which a student can take it don't match up. What has happened is over the last few years there's been some changes in what grades they can take it. We are perhaps more flexible with when a student can take some of these courses. For example, it used to be like certain classes can only be taken as 11th and 12th graders. Now we're finding that some of our sophomores, if they're ready and they come talk to us, we can get them into it. So if you have any question on a class and whether they can take it at whatever age, have them come see us and we can help them with that. And I apologize for the confusion. We'll try to clean that up a little more too. Thank you. Yes?
How many classes are students allowed to take first, like if they wanted to, like instead of the English class and do a college class at mid first in math, like are they allowed to do English and math in the same semester or do they need to split it up?
Okay, so basically how many dual classes can they take at a time? At any one time, a student can take as many college classes that will fit into their schedule. And our students have 5 classes at any given time, but they have to have at least one class that is a typical high school class. So they could potentially take 4 college classes. That seldom happens, but it could. Their senior years when they get the most opportunity, and yeah, they could have like dual enrollment English 111, Bio 103, pre-calc, so there's 3 college classes, and maybe a speech, and maybe their 5th class is band or weight training or art, something like that. Okay, other questions? Yes?
If you take algebra your 8th grade year, do you have to take a college
out in your senior year?
That's a great question. And your voice, you have a good voice, good speaking voice. If you take an algebra class in the 8th grade, does that mean you have to take a college math class your final year? The answer is no. However, you have to have by state law a math experience during your final year of high school, but that could be accounting, personal finance, financial planning. There's a lot of other ways to satisfy it, so you don't have to. Like maybe you're good at math, but that's not something you want to go into down the road. So you just get it done earlier and you got more elective opportunities. But what you will find is many of the students who do take Algebra 1 in 8th grade, a lot of them will go on and take pre-calc or calc. But you don't have to. Yes?
Just to clarify, the early college 5-year program, if a student does that, they still would qualify for scholarships as an incoming freshman?
Yes. If you went to Central or the colleges in this area throughout Michigan, they would allow you to come in as an incoming student, a first-year student. They would be eligible for their merit-based scholarships, which are based on their GPA and their SAT scores. And they can also apply for the other local scholarships through the Mount Pleasant Area Community Foundation. Great questions.
Is it common for students to do dual enrollment as well as going to CTE up in Mount Pleasant?
Okay, so the question is it typical for students to do both dual enrollment and CTE? Yes and no. It really depends on what their plan is. For example, a student could be going up there and they plan on going into CAD, computer-aided drafting, but they could also probably fit in enough classes to get through the Michigan Transfer Agreement. So it really depends on what they're trying to accomplish. Does it narrow down their elective opportunities? Yes. For example, if the student is in band, that's 3 courses throughout the year, and they want to do CTE, that takes up 6 courses out of the 15, and they want to try to get the transfer agreement, that may or may not work. It starts to get tougher. At some point, they got to make choices. I wish we could offer enough for everything, but especially those students that are so well-rounded that they're into everything, and it's hard to get them and everything, so they want to choose what they prioritize and they work hardest at that. Great questions. Anything else? Well, if you're like me, oh, go ahead.
PSAT for 8th grade, how would you find out? I've never heard of what,
PSAT 8th grade, do we have results on that?
Haven't seen anything.
We haven't seen anything yet.
That may be through the middle school, but we can get them. They also will be taking their PSAT 9, 10, SAT score, SAT test here in April. So,
Another thing you can do, I believe you can go through College Board online, and when you go through College Board and create an account, you can go in and pull up your past scores on all those because they get registered. But if the student wants to come see one of those counselors, we'll do a little research and see if we can find it for them. Okay? Good question. What I was about to say is, if you're like me, you're going to leave here and then you're going to think of some questions, and that's okay. Please don't hesitate to call either any one of us, Ms. Gauthier, Mr. Huber, myself. We'll be happy to discuss scheduling options. Check out the Onward Shepherd website. There's a lot of information there. And don't be afraid, students. Go down a path. Just choose something. You know, maybe you're not sure, and you're going to change your mind, but get started going down a path, because sometimes the greatest way to get to where you want to go is to figure out where you don't want to go. And to do that, you got to experience things. And there's no substitution for experience. Perhaps your greatest asset, students, you're not going to like this, but it's your parents. They know a little bit about you and your personality, and they also know a little bit about your aptitude, and they know their life experiences, and they might share things they've learned at their job sites. So take advantage of your parents, your aunts and uncles, and talk to them. That's perhaps the best way to learn about careers. We can give you some stuff, but I'm telling you, there's no substitute for talking to people who have firsthand experience in that particular field. Now, I can tell you about teaching. You can come to me and I'll help share about that, or counseling. But I might not be able to share much what it's like to be an engineer. I don't know. Okay? Anything else for the greater good? Okay. I appreciate you taking your time, and parents, a shout out to you. I know how hard it is to take care of all this stuff that students are going through school, but having a great turnout like this shows how passionate our community is towards our students' education, and we take great pride in that. We do have our transition meeting coming up soon. It's going to be right in here, so if you're a 9th grader, you can just stick around. Or 8th, to be 9th grader if you have some younger siblings. And I'm going to be just around the corner here, so if you do have some questions you'd like to ask me one-on-one, I'll be around. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.